had a really hard time working on this video. It's something that I felt really strongly like I want to do. I want to spread awareness about retinoblastoma. I want these videos out here for other parents to maybe who are newly diagnosed, hopefully find these videos and see what we've been through and maybe learn through our experiences what it's like and know that they can reach out to us. That being said, reliving the last year and a half has been really hard, a lot harder than I thought it would be. And so I have recorded and re-recorded parts of this video so many times, and it's been quite the process. So I'm just going to show you what I've got, and hopefully you will understand more of what we've been through this year. Well, it's finally not snowing, so we are adventuring to the zoo. And it has just been so fun to see the little animals and run and play and be crazy. I don't feel like we were really prepared for what the chemo would be. We didn't know when he started chemo how many different medications there were. I didn't know that there were different kinds of chemotherapy. I just thought it was just like one blanket chemo. Didn't know what to expect. Didn't know how long we would be there. We knew it was overnight, but we didn't know what time they would let us leave the next day. And I had a 14-month-old who just had no idea what was going on and just wouldn't let anybody hold him or touch him besides me. And so we spent the whole night just holding each other and crying, taking turns crying. And we ended up falling asleep on the couch with him between my legs because it was hard. It was hard, and I couldn't explain to him why we were trapped there, why we weren't in our bed. And it was definitely a learning experience for both of us, right? Are we all better? Aww.
It took a while, but we did get into a learning curve with Clark's chemo. He had to be super hydrated to start chemo, but he also had to have an examiner's anesthesia before we could start. And he had to fast for that. So we learned that if they admitted him and put him on IV fluids beforehand, that things went much smoother and we were able to leave a lot sooner. One thing he hated though were the blood draws. They would use this access port to check his blood levels frequently, and it was very hard to watch and struggle through. But after a while it did get better, and about halfway through chemo he handled it so much better for the last couple of months. We learned what shows he likes and what songs to sing and how his body handles it, and as we figured that out, things did become easier. And each month Kevin would say, "We can do this X amount of times," and I rolled my eyes every time until we were able to do the celebration. And that's when I finally took a breath.
Real well, it's told to clearly say, "My treatment's done, this course is run, now I am on my way." Bring it.
We left the hospital that day feeling so good. I remember driving home and just holding Kevin's hand saying, "We did it. We did it. We got through chemo." And just remembering that time, the joy and just the happiness and the weight that had been lifted was so wonderful. It was great. So we concluded our first kind of hurdle with tackling Clark's retinoblastoma,
and we were done with systemic chemo. We didn't have to worry about that anymore. And the other options were just kind of out there. Dr. Hansen would discuss them all as we would meet with him. But I was just focusing on, well, what are we doing right now? And so his appointment in April, things were great. He did his injections and lasers. We were able to go home, and it was so nice to just have a month of, oh, we went to the hospital, but we came home tonight. That's so great. And then in his exam in May is when Dr. Hansen said it's time to start talking about IAC, intra-arterial chemotherapy. And we started that the following week. That was an adjustment for sure. Clark's right eye tumor really just was not responding well. And so in addition to doing IAC, Dr. Hansen wanted to increase his supplemental treatments as well. So we would be on a strict schedule for a bit. So that exam, the following week we did IAC. The week after that, he went in for supplemental treatment. We had a week off, and then we went back in for supplemental treatment again. We did those every 2 weeks, and every 4 weeks he would have IAC. So it worked out that in like a 9-week period, we ended up being at the hospital, I think 6 weeks out of the 9 weeks or something like that. So it was a lot of time at the hospital. Right after we thought that things were going to calm down, it just amplified, and we were there even more. I have a video of Clark's last IAC back in December. It was his 5th round. He did 3 over the summer in May, June, and July. And then we did 2 more. We did one in November and one in December. And I explained more in depth of what that entails, the nitty gritty of it all. But that was our second group. Our second hurdle has been the IAC. And it made for a very interesting summer and fall.
It was interesting though, because he was less immunocompromised. We were able to go out and do more things. But it also affected his body differently, obviously, because of the different way it's being administered. With his right eye, it was so shocked with the procedure that it actually stopped working for a time. For several weeks after his first IAC, it just kind of drifted off to the right and stayed there for a while, and he stopped using it. Thankfully, after a while, that corrected itself, and he was back to using it for a while. But it was very interesting to see just how differently he responded to the IAC, but also how well it worked and how quickly those tumors seemed to regress and respond, as opposed to just doing the cryotherapy and the lasers.
And right now it's the last day of March of 2023. Clark finished systemic chemo last year at this time in March. And this last year, going through the second phase of tackling retinoblastoma, had a lot more ups and downs, it feels like, or maybe just different ups and downs. We had months where nothing changed and both tumors stayed stable. We had months where the left eye had recurrence and the tumor started growing again, where he had to have IAC done on that eye with the right eye. Thankfully, only once for that left eye. And it stayed stable for most of this time since the end of systemic chemo. And we've got this little spot in Clark's right eye still that really wants to grow more tumors. So it's been chaotic. It's been hard. And I hope that I can just give you all a little glimpse of what we've been through and a little idea of what it's been like, and also show you that this little boy is tough as nails. He's so strong. His sister is the biggest cheerleader, and we really have been blessed, even though it's been one of the hardest things we've ever been through.
Say April. April. Can you say May? May. Can you say June? June. June is this one. Can you say June? Can you say? Ow. Okay, Bear. Hey.
You are so weird. Are you weird?